back in '07, we had the housing crash, and gas was the first time gas had broke $3, and went up to 3.50 and all that for a while, and so everybody started, buying motorcycles and riding their bikes more. Okay, and I'd been thinking about it, just never was the thing. So that summer, me and my wife, we were going to Michigan. And I'd been looking around that little scooter, get me something small, get back and forth to work. And so I had bought me a Yamaha 125 Vino. And this was a grayish green color, really nice looking. And so somebody happened to have one out there. I think I paid like $1,400 for it. And it had a 2-seater on it, but it was very too small people to be comfortable. And so I go up there, and my sister, my wife was somewhere. She was, I don't know, but anyway. So I went out to these people's house, and I got it. And I had rented an SUV at the time. It was an Isuzu Rodeo, I think, or something. And so we got it up. We got it in the back, and I knew I was going to lay it over. But I didn't. They didn't empty the tank out, right? Because honestly, they're not all thinking. And I should have just gotten a little trailer and just rolled it up and strapped it down. But I didn't think about that. So when I got it, we got it in, but I laid it, the tank was on the right side there when you sat on it, or it was in the rear, and I had leaned this thing over, and when I did, because the amount of gas, when you tilted it, it ran out. Now, your paint is corrosion proof, whatever, right? But it's meant to be, if something splashed, it'll evaporate before the adulteration sets in. So this thing, we had the windows down, so there was, little gas streams. It wasn't bad, and I just sat, it had soaked into that paint, and there was this whole thing. And the scooter was a year old, and it had like 1,000 miles on it, 1,500, and I mean the heartache on this thing, because I just got it, and people are gonna come look at it, and they're like, "What's that? What happened?" I did that, and I drove that little sucker. Let me tell you what, them little 125s. That thing would haul me. Let me tell you, I was 250 or something at the time, and that little thing would go. I mean, I had it going downhill one day, and it was I was on up in Fairfield or something. I'm coming down this hill, and I had that sucker up to 63 miles an hour. And I got my helmet on. I'm kind of hunched over. I'm just trying to go every bit I can, and somewhere in there, that revelation come up and said, 60 miles an hour on an unprotected little scooter might not be your best bet. After it's like, so I kind of let off the gas, But I would take this sucker all around town. I got roughly 60 miles an hour, or 60 miles a gallon all the time, and it held just over a gallon. So, you were handicapped in how far you could go, but you weren't going to take this cross country, right? Not in on a timed mission, if you're just casual. But yeah, I would take this sucker. I'd ride it to work, and boy, that sucker saved that money on gas, and it was so much fun. I put a windshield on it, and I mean, under the seat, I could put my helmet. Or I could put some groceries in there and a little bitty rack on there. just the Yamaha made such wonderful little scooters, and I miss that thing. After a year, I decided to upgrade to the Suzuki scooters, the Bergman line, and I sold it. And believe I sold it for like $1,800 because gas prices were still high. And so I actually, through all of that, I sold it for profit. And I don't know, that little thing, I might have put about 3,000 miles on it in that year. And that's just, humming on the streets, no freeways. But it was so much fun, but, from experience, if you get out there with them, it don't matter what you're on. Get a helmet and a jacket. All right, save your life. All right, thank you.